Hi there, it's Ron. Making a video about uh, motivation. And by the way, in case you hear someone snoring, that's Zeus back there. He's got the right idea. I'll be doing that in just a while. We have snoring contest almost every night. Anyway, I've been thinking more and more about this. Well, almost every day, but thinking more about this lately. Uh, what the Boston Marathon means to me, um, and how it's really, it's something that keeps me motivated. And in times like these, where a lot of people are having tough days, including myself, tough days, tough weeks, tough months, it's important to have to look forward to goals. And eventually we'll get back to running races again and all that. And it's looking like the earliest I'll be running Boston is April 2022. Might even be a little long. Excuse me. Might even be a little longer than that. But Boston, it's more than a race for a lot of us. Still something I'll never forget. After one Boston, the day after, I was relaxing at Bill Rogers Running Center when it was still open. This was probably 2010 or 11. It was after I had written. It was a year or two after I had written my In Pursuit of Ghosts and Unicorn story for Marathon Beyond magazine. And there was a security guard at Faneuil Hall, and Bostonians, forgive me if I'm butchering that pronunciation, but Faneuil is a weird name anyway. But there's a security guard who worked at Faneuil Hall, who was always kind of gravitating towards Bill Rogers Running Center. He was friends with all the staff and all the runners and everything. And this is a guy named Jerry, and he was, I think he had retired from another job. He was either retired or semi-retired from another job, I'm pretty sure. But he was like, one of those born and bred Boston people, as far as I know. And one year after the marathon, I came in there the next day because they always had a little celebration the day after the race. I was talking to him. We had a lot of conversations over the years. And he started telling me how important it was to them that I was coming back and running Boston every year. As they all read my article. Actually, I wrote a few articles about the Boston Marathon, and I also included Bill Rogers Running Center. But at first I thought Jerry was meaning like, in general, it's important to people in Boston that the runners come back every year, and it is. There's no doubt. And there's also no doubt there's runners far more well known than I am. And that's what took me aback when he was saying, no, you don't understand, you represent something. And this is about the time I had about 10 or 11 Bostons in a row. This is a couple years before the bombings. But he was just saying, no, you don't understand. It's important that you come back, that people here look for you. They look for you along the course. And a few years before, there had been a change where I did start hearing at mile 7 and mile 13 and mile 2020, I had been hearing from the crowd, "Hey, it's Running Ron, it's Running Ron." And, I kind of started that Running Ron thing as a joke, but at some point it caught on with between my articles and videos and everything. It caught on, and Jerry was like insistent that no, that people really, they look for you. And I'll never forget that conversation. There's more to it than that. I'll flesh it out more in another video. But it is, I mean, that was just a very special conversation. And I'll never forget things like it was 2016, I think, that I was approaching Boston College. Now, we all know about the girls of Wellesley College, who are fabulous. Always cost me a little bit of time there, going through the Wellesley College. But also Boston College students, Boston College and Boston University students, they all come out in force. And Boston College has a lot of frats and sororities and all that. And something I'll never forget either is, I'm pretty sure it was 2016, because I remember it was sunny that day and it was kind of warm. It wasn't hot, but it was kind of warm for a marathon, like mid-60s, which is a little warmer than you want it for a marathon. But anyway, as I was coming up the hill towards Boston College, the frats and sororities were out there, and there were dozens and dozens of them. And they, most of them had been drinking for most of the morning. They're college students, And Patriots Day in Boston is a big party. Well, by the way, I'm wearing my Boston Strong shirt. As I was approaching them, and of course I was running with my flag by then, this is a few years after the bombings, a bunch of them started yelling. They pointed at me and they said, "It's Running Ron, it's Running Ron." And so they all started yelling, "Running Ron, Running Ron, let's go. You got this, baby." And this is the frats and sororities, and they were making a lot of noise and going wild. And I was just bewildered. Even by then, 2016, as I was approaching them, I called out to a bunch of them. I said, "How in the hell did you know who I am?" And they said, in unison, a bunch of them said, "We've seen your videos." And then we recognized, then they said, "Well, then we recognized your hair and your flag. You're always running with your flag, aren't you?" And I was just like, wow, okay. So that really, put some pep in my step and really inspired me the rest of the way. But it's funny how, just like my conversation with Jerry, I was just coming back to run Boston every year because that's what I do, And it's funny how things that you don't necessarily think a lot about consciously. I mean, I know, I made my videos, and then I had the one that the NBC News affiliate in Waco did on me. That's the one with like 12,000 views or something. But you think about them, but then again, you don't think about them. Like I said, I was just doing my thing, especially running with my flag, and people notice the hair and all that. But they're paying attention. And that just kind of, that whole thing about the butterfly effect, the ripple effect, and all that, something that you might not constantly think about. And now, nowadays, I run with my flag so many days that I don't think that much about it. I don't consciously think that much about it, but people notice. And I mean, these were college kids, age, well, they're not kids. Young men and women, age 20, 21, whatever. And they were into it. They loved their marathon up there, and they were into it. And like Jerry had told me, it was almost prophetic. Like Jerry had told me a few years before that it was important to them that I was running, and that's something. It's humbling, and it's inspiring and exhilarating. So that's all those things are on my mind when I'm thinking about Boston. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things aside from the bombings that stick with me about Boston, and it's all about the people. That's what makes that such a special race. It's the people, the atmosphere. I always say, Boston, the people, the city, the race. It's all gotten into my soul now. So there you go. Looking forward to 2022. Again, it might be 2023 before I run the course officially again. But it's always an inspiration. It's that guiding light, going back to the light. All right, speaking of, like Yoda says, luminous beings are we. All right, y'all take care. Boston strong. Peace.